Hello, and a very warm welcome indeed to this afternoon's iOB business webinar. Now, today, what we're going to be talking about is what you should and shouldn't worry about as a digital agency owner. Okay, now it's a wonderful topic because it's really a very big question with those thinking about getting into becoming a digital agency owner, or in fact, those who already run digital agencies. It's wonderfully applicable to both. And we're going to answer some really big questions today when we're looking at, oh, okay, what should I be worried about? And, maybe is there something that I'm worrying about that right now, you know what, it's actually not such a big deal. So a fantastic topic that we're going to be focusing on today. Now, for those of you joining us for the first time on an iOB business webinar, okay, a very warm welcome to you all. I'm going to give you a brief overview of how these run. Okay, so my name is Ben and I'm the resident business coach here at iOB Business. I take you through these webinars, okay? Now, what the layout of today is going to be is we do a brief introduction with myself. Okay, once again, my name is Ben. For those of you just joining us now, pleasure to meet you. And then we're going to dive into a presentation. The presentation is going to run for around about 15 to 20 minutes or so. Now, we're going to cover 3 topics as we always do. And in between each topic, you're more than welcome to ask any questions and jot down any notes. So we're going to take a brief pause between each topic to give you the chance to do this. Now, if you would like to ask me any questions about business, marketing, today's webinar, you're more than welcome to do so, and you can pop it in the gray Q&A box at the bottom of your screen there. Okay, so whilst we're waiting for, I can see a couple more people coming in there, fantastic. Whilst we're waiting for everybody to join us on today's session, I'm just going to go ahead and get us set up. Okay, so I will just pull up the presentation that we have there for you today. Okay, so I'm going to ask for your help in just a second. Okay, so if you could do me a big favor, let me know if you can hear my voice. Okay, and now we're set up with a presentation on screen, so you should be able to see the presentation on screen. I've just switched off my camera, so you shouldn't be able to see me anymore. But if you could just let me know before we kick off, if you can hear my voice okay, and if you can see the screen okay. All right, fantastic. So it looks like we're all set. Excellent. Thank you for the confirmation, and a wonderful welcome to everybody on this webinar, whether you're just joining us for the first time or whether you have been on one of these before. It's a pleasure to see everyone on here. Okay, so once again, today's topic, what you should and shouldn't worry about as a digital agency owner. Okay, so once again, questions are welcome. Please do not hesitate to ask them for us today. Okay, so your presenter today is myself. My name once again is Ben Porter Smith, and I am a business coach. All right, so what I specialize in, what I love to do every single day is work with small businesses to help them achieve their stability and their growth, which is so important for young, established and small businesses. Okay, so today's session, we're going to cover 3 topics as always. Number 1, we're going to talk about how to define what is worth worrying about. Okay, so we're going to really cover the thought process, the calculation behind what is worth worrying about. Number 2, we're going to run through items that you should be diligent with. And number 3, we're going to cover items that are easy solves. All right, so these are some of the absolute favorites. These are the things that we say, you know what, actually, that's not too hard. Let's just click our fingers and get it out the way. Okay, so beginning with topic number 1, how to define what is worth worrying about. Okay, so beginning with our first point today, running a digital agency, including any business really with this logic, is full of decision making. Okay, full of decision making, full of learning curves. So every time we do something in business, usually we learn from it, right? So whether it was negative, whether it was positive, there's always going to be something that we can take away from that process. Now, here's a little side tip. As a business owner or as a prospective business owner, you should always be looking to read between the lines and see what you could have learned from what just happened. This is how we develop ourselves. This is how we become better individuals, better business owners. Okay, we take information away from whatever it is that just happened, whether it's negative or positive. Okay, so running a digital agency is full of wonderful experiences, full of new progressions, full of things that we may not have seen before, and probably some things that we have seen before in different ways. Okay, so when I say here that it's full of decision making and learning curves, you're going to be presented with decisions all the time. All right. Now, this is why we need to have a look at what is worth worrying about. How do we define this? Okay. Now, learning curves, you'll have heard this in a personal and business context, likely in the past. A learning curve is when we go around something that we haven't necessarily seen before. Okay. A learning curve is, oh, okay. So I should do it that way instead next time. All right. So best way to define a learning curve essentially is something that we have developed and something we know how to do differently for next time. Okay. Now, whilst you should never panic, okay, when running a business, there are certainly elements you should be taken care of. All right. So here's the best way to define this point. When we panic, we don't logically make the best decision. Okay. At that point, we're not necessarily applying logic. We're not applying reason. What we're doing is being very, very reactive to what is happening in the moment. Oh gosh, this has just happened. What do we do? How do we react? We need to do now. We need to do it now, whatever it is that we do. Now, that's something that we would always discourage you from doing, okay? Don't panic, don't stress, don't get overly anxious about something that is happening in the business, because when you're anxious or nervous or worried or stressed, you are not your best decision-making self, okay? It's just the absolute logic of business is that when we're panicked, we're not thinking clearly, okay? Now, you can apply this in a personal context as well. Think back in your life to a time where you've ever panicked, been worried about something, been unsure about something, and how clearly have you came up with the solution, okay? Did the solution then come to you at a later point when you calmed down and relaxed? Most likely the answer to that is yes, okay? So whilst you should never panic when running a business, there are, of course, certainly elements that should be taken care of, all right? So elements you should be taken care of. Number one, sales, okay? Now, we can cover this in brief, essentially what this means, okay? And we're gonna continue to cover this throughout today's webinar. But what we need to make sure we're doing are simple things. So we need to make sure that invoices are being paid. We need to make sure that the team and ourselves are taken care of. We need to make sure that clients are being taken care of, okay? So when we're looking at this in a business context, things that should be taken care of are things that keep the business running. Are we making sales? Therefore, are we generating money for the business? Are we keeping an eye on our expenses? We're not spending too much money. We're not spending more than what we're earning. Okay, we're making sure that we're sensibly in line with our budgets and what the business can afford. Okay, perfect. So we're making sure that the people running the business are happy, i.e. our team and ourselves. Are we happy, well taken care of? Are we comfortable? Are we healthy? Are we happy in general? Now, of course, the other vital component of any business are the people that bring money to the business. So the clients and customers, all right? Are they taken care of? Are they happy? Are they happy to continue giving us their money? Do they feel like they're getting good value for money? Okay, now all of these important things. So really what we need to be looking at is making sure that we're taking all of these things into account. We're factoring in all of these little things, okay? Now, this is statistically what we mean, okay, when we're looking at what needs to be done when taking care of a business. Now, there's other things that I would like to just chuck in here, okay, for conversation's sake. Whilst you should never panic, but there are things that should be taken care of, okay? Now, specifically look at this, okay? Let's say that a big problem comes in, okay? So say maybe a client has a problem with us and they've sent in this big email and it's really, really nerve-wracking and it's like, oh my God, they might leave the business. Do not panic. Now, this in one sentence, in one nutshell, this is exactly what this means. So when a big kind of scary email comes in or a similar problem of similar, capacity comes in, we need to make sure to keep a cool head, but we do also need to be aware that this needs to be taken care of, all right? So then moves up the priority list and says, okay, well, look, I was gonna do this today, but instead I'm gonna take care of this client because they need me right now and the business needs me to do this right now. So I'm not panicking, I'm not reacting to the situation in a panicky way, okay? I'm not getting overly anxious or stressed about it. I'm just saying, that's fine. I know that's top priority. I'm going to get to it as soon as I can, and I'm going to move other things out of the way to get to it. All right. So here are some key rules for determining importance when it comes to what's worth worrying about. Okay. Number one, does the item relate to the income of the digital agency? If it does, it's important. It's worth worrying about. Okay. Now I say worrying in the context here of, okay, don't worry or panic, but it's essentially like you might have heard this phrase before. What should I worry about? What should I shouldn't? Okay, essentially, or what shouldn't I? Okay, better way to put it. So does the item relate to the income of the digital agency? If so, income to the business, very, very important. Okay. Number two, is the item causing anyone distress or difficulty? Are you being caused any kind of distress or difficulty? Are your team experiencing distress? Are your clients and customers experiencing distress? Okay, now if this is the case, it is important because mental health is incredibly important. Other factors such as stress management, happiness, well-being are also very, very important as well. Okay, so is the item causing anyone distress or difficulty? If so, this is something that we need to look at and think about. if the solution is not delivered promptly, what is the worst case scenario? Okay, so this is probably your best way of defining whether a problem is actually worth worrying about. Again, in this context, hypothetically, because let's have a look and say, okay, well, look, a client slightly disgruntled. If I don't email them back for a day or two, what's going to happen? Are they going to leave the business? If I think that the email warrants them leaving the business, if I don't respond right now, I'm going to respond right now. It depends, of course, what the client's worth to you. Okay. Now, looking at the worst case scenario is a very good way to run down this element of panic and nervousness. Okay. It's a great way to put it into context and put it into normal parameters. Okay. So if the solution is not delivered promptly, what's the worst case scenario? Okay. Are we going to lose loads and loads of money? Are we going to lose a staff member? Are we going to lose a client? Okay. Those are some of the worst things that can happen in business. If this is not likely to happen or just not going to happen at all, then you must ask yourself, am I getting worked up for something that I don't need to be? Okay. So that's really the core lesson I want you to take down from topic number 1 here today. All right. So that brings us to the end of topic number 1. I'm going to give you a brief moment now. Please go ahead, jot down any notes that you might want to take, any questions that you might have to ask me. You're more than welcome. Please go ahead and do that now. And I will see you very, very shortly for topic number 2. Okay, perfect. So hopefully you've had a chance now to jot down any notes that you might want to take, and indeed ask any questions that you might have had for me as well. Okay, so moving on to number 2, items that you should be diligent with. Okay, so number 1, items to be diligent with are components of business that should be reviewed closely and on a regular basis. Okay, so the items of diligence, okay, if we look at it in this context, what we're looking at are components of the business that absolutely need to be looked at. Okay, otherwise it could cause problems and difficulties throughout the business. All right, so let's look at this very, very simply. Okay, there are some major components of business as a whole: sales, marketing, finance, operations, and HR, human resources. Okay, now items to be diligent with are essentially defined in these 5 brackets. Now, sub definitions of this would essentially mean, okay, items that should be reviewed on a regular basis. Finance, for example. Okay, we need to make sure that our invoices are being paid, that there is money in the bank account, there's money to pay the staff, there's money to pay us. We're getting the money that we need to run the business. Okay, that's a finance example. Sales example: do we have a system or a team member or team members working on sales with prospective clients? Okay, another vital element of business and something that should be reviewed on a regular basis. Okay, business plans, growth plans, objectives, goals of the business, all stuff that needs to be reviewed on a regular basis. Operationally, okay, look at your systems on a regular basis. Is there something that could be improved? Is there something that could be leaner, quicker, faster? Is there something that's costing the business too much time or money for no reason? Okay, HR, are our team members happy? Do they feel like they have what they need to do their job well? Do they feel like they're being treated well? Is there any problems, anything that we could deal with, anything negative in the workplace perhaps? Okay, so sales, let's go through these one by one again. Sales, have we got a system in place to generate income for the business? Marketing, are we putting ourselves out there? Is our brand awareness good? Do we have lead generation systems running okay for the sales team to work on? Operations, are we running smoothly, or do we have things that we need to work out? Finance, is there money in the account? Are we getting invoices paid on time? Are we getting money from our clients? And HR, is the team happy? Do they feel taken care of? Are they looked after? Are we looked after? Okay, are we doing everything by the book? So these are factors and or issues that should be dealt with as a matter of priority. Okay, so what you need to make sure that you're doing on a regular basis is sitting down and giving time within your business to make sure that you can do these things. Okay, you can do your sales analysis, you can do your operations analysis, you can do your finance, your marketing, your HR analysis. Okay, now what most business owners do, what most digital agency owners do, is put time out at least once a month to sit down and look at all these components and make sure that we're running well, we're running smoothly. Because what so many make the mistake of, and what I've seen so many times as a business coach, is when these things pop up, okay, and they say, well, we could have dealt with this months ago, but I just didn't think that I had to review it on a regular basis. And I've been busy dealing with what's been put on my plate that day, okay? It's reactive, it's not proactive. And one of the most efficient ways to run a business is by being proactive. We're dealing with problems before they've happened. We're fixing an operational mistake before we hemorrhage lots and lots of money 5 months down the line. Okay, so we're getting to potential issues and problems ahead of time. We're fixing faulty systems before they start disrupting clients and client work. Okay, so there are factors that need to be looked at on a regular basis, and these should be dealt with as a matter of priority. Okay, so here's some more examples for you that require diligence. Okay, financial solidarity and reporting. Okay, is the business strong financially? Do we have enough money in the accounts, in our coffers, to make sure that everybody's happy, everybody's paid, that we're paid, that the business is turning over a healthy profit, that we're growing, that our financial reports are up to date? Okay, so of course that includes reporting. Cash flow analysis. Okay, are we hemorrhaging cash where we don't need to? Are we outlaying too much money from the business? Are we spending too much? Have we got enough money coming in? Have we got enough money coming in to support ourselves? Okay, or are we actually losing money every month? Now, another common thing that I see in the financial components of businesses as a coach is that people are losing money and they don't even know, because when they're looking at their bank statements, they've got money in there. It's just depreciating slowly month on month on month. So they don't actually recognize, because they have a surplus in the account, that technically speaking, on a cash flow basis, they're actually losing cash, which is, as a business, that's a very, very bad thing. Lead generation. Are we bringing prospective leads to the business? Because if we're not, the sales team haven't got anybody to close. And right now, if you're a solo digital agency owner, you're going to be the sales team. So you'll know yourself, well, why am I not speaking to anybody this week? I don't have any leads to close, okay? Customer or client care. This is perhaps the biggest, because without clients and customers, there is no business, okay? There is no money coming in. There's nobody to provide anything for the business there. And team management and care. Without the backbone of your business, you would not have what you have today, and you would not have the prospect of building a wonderful operation if you didn't have a fantastic team working around you, okay? And finally, of course, the legalities, okay? Are you doing everything by the book? Are you up to date with your data regulations? Are you keeping it all secure and safe as it should be? Are you managing your team well? Have they all got the contracts that they need? Have they got any kind of perks or benefits that they need from you to keep working for you and keep doing it well, okay? Have you got the right paperwork in place with your clients, okay? So all of these things need to be taken care of, in legalities, you know, insurance protections, you know, certifications in some regard to do what you need to do. So always make sure that you have this, okay? Now, that brings us to the end of topic number 2. I'm going to once again give you a brief moment to go ahead and jot down any notes and indeed ask any questions that you might have. And I'll see you very shortly for topic number 3, okay? Okay, so moving on now to topic number 3. Thank you for the question. I'll get to that at the end there for you. Okay, oh, one more. So software or hardware that could be halting productivity. Now, we covered this in the operational component, okay? If there's something that you feel is slowing you down, like a very, very old and slow computer, it is sometimes worth upgrading, because yes, it is an expense, it is an outlay now, but how much more money could you make as a result of working much faster, much stronger, much more efficiently? Okay, now this same thing applies for software. If the software is clunky or it's too expensive, it's going to be weighing the business down, therefore hampering productivity. Okay, so that's something that you need to make sure that you're reviewing on a regular basis. Now, moving on to topic number 3, items that are easy solves. Okay, so this is a quick one. This is a very, very clean and efficient one. It's something that I'm going to run you through, and it's going to hopefully make a lot of sense to you, whether you're a prospective business owner or whether you are a current digital agency owner already. Okay, so easy solves should not occupy large amounts of your mental space. Okay, think of something that you've done 1,000 times before. Okay, probably more, right? You don't have to think about how you put your t-shirt on in the morning, okay? You don't think about, you know, what your coffee order is. You don't think about what you need to do to get to work that day, okay? You've done it so many times already that you could almost do this just automatically, okay? You don't need to know how to make your breakfast in the morning because you've already made thousands of breakfasts, okay? Easy solve should not occupy large amounts of your mental space, okay? They're is a fundamental rule here, you know, with mental energy, with the management of that, okay, that if you spend a lot of time giving energy to decisions that should almost be automatic, you're going to find yourself tiring out pretty quickly. Okay, so easy solve should not occupy large amounts of your mental space. All right, there are issues that can be dealt with quickly and effectively with experience. Okay, so easy solves, once you've got the experience with this, okay, so I know it's going to sound like a funny example, but you don't need to think about how to get dressed in the morning because you have experience in getting dressed in the morning. Okay, you have done it so many times, experience, that you now can do it automatically. Of course, when you were an infant, it was much more difficult because you'd never done it before. All right, so they are issues that can be dealt with quickly and effectively with the correct experience. Okay, now here are some examples of easy solves, things that you can smash quickly, you can knock it out of the park. Okay, number one, social media profile tweaks. Okay, this is not something that should occupy a large amount of your brain space, nor is it something that should be prioritized. This is, of course, the final point on easy solves, not something that needs to be prioritized. Okay, you should be focusing on if there's a financial problem, if there's a marketing problem, if there's a sales problem, operational, HR, focus on that first. Okay, your easy solves can wait. So social media profile tweaks, minor website updates. Okay, now if it's an easy solve, now here's a caveat, I suppose. If it's an easy solve, it's going to take a significant amount of time. Okay, let it sit for a while. Focus on your priorities first. But if it's something that you could do in literally 30 seconds, just knock it off. Just knock it off the list, because then it's done. You don't need to worry about it. You don't need to think about it. So look at this one of two ways. Easy solve, yes or no, fantastic. If it is, great. Is it going to take me a long time? If so, I'm going to prioritize other things in front of it. If it's going to take me a short amount of time, like 30 seconds, maybe 5 minutes. Okay, perfect. Just do that now, get it out of the way instead of leaving it to sit on the list. Okay, so minor website updates. Again, if you've got experience building websites or you're tweaking your own website or whatever, that'll take you literally 30 seconds. So perfect. Office updates, okay? Refreshing decor, putting something new in, refilling stationery, whatever it is, simple, basic stuff. Very, very easy to do. Just get it out the way, get it done, okay? Cosmetic changes, again, is it important? No. Is it an easy solve? Absolutely, okay? Cosmetic changes, something you want to do to, potentially change something in the office, change something on your social media profile, change something on your website, change just a cosmetic change of any kind, okay? Do we want to, change this font from black to a very, very dark blue so it stands out better against a certain background, okay? Cosmetic tweaks. Now, this could apply anything online, in your business, in the office, in a branded gear, anything like that, okay? It's just minor cosmetic changes, all right? So these items should not be prioritized over your other items that require diligence and regular attention. But because they're easy solves, if you can knock it out the park, get it out the way within 5 minutes or so, just do it, yeah? So it makes total sense to just not spend too much time, effort, or energy on these things because they're easy solves, all right? None of these are overly complex tasks, not for a skilled digital agency owner, and not for somebody who has experience in the field. Okay, so social media profile tweaks. Let's run over these once again. Social media profile tweaks, minor website updates, office updates, cosmetic changes. That's just 4 examples. There are countless more, okay? Like when should we do the briefing that day? Should we do it at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock? It's not important as long as it gets done. Okay, so these items should not be prioritized over your other items that require diligence and regular attention. You don't want to kneecap yourself, okay? Essentially, now, if you're not familiar with that term, essentially what that means is it's like cutting off your nose to spite your face, okay? There's no logical reason to doing it. So if you can't find a valid reason to not focus on a task of priority, don't do it, okay? Focus on the priority task. Now, that brings us to the end of topic number 3. I'm going to leave that slide up there for you so you can take any notes down that you'd like to take. And indeed, ask any questions that you have for me. I saw another one come in there a few minutes ago, so I can't wait to answer that for you at the end of today's session. All right, we're just going to do a recap and then we're straight onto the Q&A. Okay, so hopefully you've had a chance now to do that, and we will finish off with our summary as we always do. Okay, so to recap, you'll be making one decision after the other. Become effective, okay? Understand what is worth worrying about and what is not. Number 2, understand the items that require attention to detail. Okay, there'll be certain things that just are a little bit more important than others. You need to know what these are. And finally, be aware of where you must prioritize and what can wait. Easy solves, If you can do them within 5 minutes, get them done, just to get them off the list. And if they're going to take any longer than that, but it's an easy thing to do, just put it at the back of the list and focus on what's important right now. Okay. So as always, a massive, massive thank you for attending. It is always a pleasure speaking to you. If you would like to talk to a member of our team, you're more than welcome to head over to iob-business.com/talk-to-us and book a call with us at any time that suits you. Okay, so you can do that on our calendar here. There's an example of it on the screen. I'm going to leave the link up for you whilst I go and grab the questions from you lovely people. Okay, so thank you so much to those of you that asked questions, and thank you so much to all of you for attending. Let me just get the questions up for us today. Okay, so the first question I have, how do I know if an issue is really important? Okay, this is a brilliant question. Thanks for giving me the chance to go over it again. All right, so essentially, something that is really important, okay? So something doesn't have to necessarily be an issue for it to be important, okay? There are elements of business that we should always be diligent with no matter what the circumstance is, okay? However, a great way to tell if an issue is a priority is asking if it's directly impacting the business in any severely negative way, okay? Now, two sides to this. It's negative if it has a potential to earn us loads and loads of money as a business, but we're not doing it, okay? The second way is if it's, say, for example, a very, very bad email from a client. If we don't respond to or deal with, we run the risk of losing a large chunk of our business, okay? That's another way. So you tell if it's really important by, essentially, what's the worst case scenario? Well, the worst case scenario of not making an important development is that we might start losing lots of potential income down the line. Second way is it going to affect us very, very negatively if we don't deal with it as a matter of urgency? Okay, but fantastic question. Thank you for asking. Next question, how quickly should I seek to resolve major and minor issues? Okay, great question. Major issues matter a total priority. So if something is a total major issue in your business, you need to deal with that like yesterday. Okay, now major issue, of course, is not defined lightly. That's something that will very, very, very heavily impact your business if you don't look at it very, very soon, like literally the next time you're in the office. Okay. Now, minor issues can wait lengths of time, but you should avoid the kind of thing of leaving issues to sit forever. Okay. Now, what I see sometimes, and what we've all done as business owners, is we put a non-important, and I'm using air quotes here, okay, a non-important issue on a list that just sits on that list for 2 months, 6 months, 7 months, 12 months, and then eventually it just never gets done, okay? So this is the cardinal sin. We don't want to do this. We want to make sure that if there's something is on the list, it's on the list for a reason. We want to make sure that we're getting it done. All right, another fantastic question. Thank you for asking. Okay, so I'm just going to have a look and see if we have any more questions from you. Okay. Excellent. I can't see any more questions from you, so I guess that means that we don't have any more. Now, as always, a massive, wonderful thank you to all of you taking the time to join us on today's session. It's been my absolute pleasure presenting this iOB business webinar to you, and I very much look forward to seeing you on the next iOB webinar in the very near future. Okay, take care and bye for now.